Museum of Image and Sound in Rio is a museum, but it's also a cultural center for the city and a public space on Copacabana Beach. For us, the concept of the project very much emerged out of the site of Copacabana Beach and the program. As outsiders to Rio and to Copacabana Beach, we view the space of the beach as a democratic space. It's one of the few spaces in Rio where everybody comes together, rich, poor, every cultural background, visitors and locals, and they come for leisure and pleasure. They also come for large events like New Year's, and they come for political demonstrations and artistic practices. And a major feature of Copacabana Beach, the kind of long crescent arc of the beach, is the very famous promenade by Roberto Burle Marx with its black and white interwoven paving pattern that's symbolic of that kind of mixing of everybody together in one place. For us, the concept of the project was to take that public pathway by Burle Marx and to turn the public way all the way up the building to the roof, so that there was a public way from the street to the roof that accessed all of the spaces of the museum from the outside to the inside, and created a constant dialogue between an interpretive content about the culture of Rio as a distinctive place and the outside city as a site itself, so that the content of the museum and the city as an artifact culturally were in a constant dialogue with each other. The neighborhood has a very interesting character to it geographically. There are large mountains that come down with effectively tropical kind of forests right into the beach, and then those create the arc of the beach itself. The arc of the beach at the street level, at Avenida Atlantica, is built up with high-end residential hotels, etc. The kind of arms that come down from the steep mountains surrounding it are covered in favela. And it's a very interesting dynamic where rich and poor commingle very directly together in very close proximity.
There is perhaps an optimal path in a sense, although the facade is very porous and you have many options as to how you want to encounter the exhibits. Perhaps that optimal path is starting at the ground floor on the inside portion of the stair. The stair you see on the outside is really divided by a glass wall, so there's a parallel inside path and outdoor path. One way of experiencing the museum would be to take the inside path, which gives you a direct access to the exhibits, and then once you find your way to the roof and sort of enjoy that view, you could come down the exterior path. One thing to note is that the foundation and the state, who are the clients, are very interested in making the outside path free to the public. And there would be probably a fee to get into the museum. So there is this notion that Ben has been talking about of really a true democratic public space is really there's a huge effort to try to really do that.
So as a public way goes up the building from the bottom to the top, it starts with the sort of sea washing or the beach washing into the lobby of the building, which is a very public space. The stair that circuits all the way up from the ground to the roof is split by the facade, so that there's an exterior public way and an interior way that takes you in parallel up the museum. And the spaces would include temporary exhibitions, a space for politics and carnival, a central space for banda or music, a space about samba and choro, which is a historic musical form, spaces for love poetry, for fashion and Carmen Miranda, for film and television, and ultimately a general geographic space about the climate of Rio. And then the public way would take you either to the restaurant or up to outdoor cinema and bar at the roof, which is a fully public space. And the final space down below is an auditorium, which is below grade, connected to the lobby, which holds performances, public events, and lectures for the public. There's a kind of symmetry to the building where there's a fully public spaces below and above. There's spaces of education that are interleaved and archives, etc. And then the opaque spaces with the screen facades are the primary museographic rooms. I mean, we don't want to overreach about the impact of this project because Copacabana is completely built up. But the beach is completely a public space. It's simply the architecture that bounds the beach, which is completely privatized. So I think that the museum is a kind of a little valve between all of the communities that are kind of circulating through the beach. Maybe more than anything, it tries to absorb people, everybody, into it and to create a mixing spot that is one small public space on the beach that brings everybody up and absorbs everybody in and brings them all together. I think that that's a very important feature. We joke all the time that our perfect visitor to the museum might be somebody who walked in directly off the beach with sand on their feet, and they could walk through the museum as a kind of, a little bit of a break. They could get an elevated exposure to the city, and they could learn about the culture of Rio.
Thank you very much. Excellent.
Thank you.